Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Front and Center, a program that focuses on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concerns the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of this and more will be Front and Center. Join me in this half-hour program here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can watch this program over Radyo Pilipinas World Service via Facebook page live broadcast. Just access our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can also catch every Front and Center programs over our YouTube channel. Just type in your YouTube browser, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The program Front and Center and the programs of Radyo Pilipinas World Service can also be listened to the following shortwave frequencies: 12.010 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. So, come and join us for another edition of Front and Center. I am your host, Rey Sampang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is set to attend the 30th Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC Leaders Summit in San Francisco, California from November 15 to 17, which is the culmination of the year-long chairmanship and hosting by the United States of the leaders meeting this year. Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Charles Jose said that President Marcos' attendance to the APEC summit is important for the Philippines as it served as the country's primary forum for official engagements with other economies in the Asia-Pacific region. The Philippines is a founding member of APEC in 1989, and that 11 out of the 15 trading partners of the country are APEC members. APEC economy plays a significant role in the Philippines, accounting for 85% of the country's total exports and imports, and approximately 56% of the foreign direct investments that entered the country. President Marcos Jr.'s attendance to this year's APEC Leaders Summit in the U.S. will be his second, with the previous one held in Thailand November last year. This year's APEC theme, Creating a Resilient and Sustainable Future for All, have been focused on building sustainability, inclusivity, and resilience toward a peaceful and prosperous APEC region. This year's APEC theme aligns with the economic agenda of the administration of President Marcos Jr., which is the Philippine Development Plan and the administration's 8-point socio-economic agenda, and envisage an economic transformation for a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Philippines by prioritizing the creation of more quality and green jobs. Let us listen to the briefing provided by the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Charles Jose in regards to President Marcos Jr.'s participation on the 30th APEC Leaders Summit this November 2023.
The President is attending this year's 30th APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, which will be held on November 15, 16, and 17 in San Francisco, California, USA. The APEC Leaders Meeting is the culmination of the year-long chairmanship and hosting by the United States of APEC in 2023. As we all know, the Philippines is a founding member of APEC in 1989. APEC is important to the Philippines because it is the primary forum for our engagement with the other economies in the Asia-Pacific region. 11 of our top 15 trading partners are APEC members. APEC economies account for 85% of our total exports and imports and about 56% of the foreign direct investments that enter the Philippines. This year's APEC theme is creating a resilient and sustainable future for all. Throughout the year, APEC's work focused on building sustainability inclusivity, and resilience toward a peaceful and prosperous APEC region. There have been several successful outcomes from APEC's work in 2023, including the adoption of agreements that would advance food security, energy security, human resource development, digitalization, and supply chain resilience. This year's APEC theme aligns with the economic agenda of the administration of President Marcos Jr., the Philippine Development Plan, and the administration's 8-point socio-economic agenda envisage an economic transformation for a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Philippines by prioritizing the creation of more quality and green jobs. Key to this economic transformation is ensuring a sustainable future for every Filipino to have a matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay. This reflects the importance of cooperation and of our involvement in the APEC agenda to pursue our economic interests. This is the second time that President Marcos Jr. is participating in the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting. For this year, the President is keen to push for financing a just, sustainable, and affordable energy transition through partnerships with the business sector. He will emphasize the need to invest more on clean energy to preserve and protect the environment while ensuring that we are energy secure and sufficient. With our experience from the COVID-19 pandemic, the President wishes to push for deeper cooperation in health and modernizing health systems, and to ensure that our health professionals are recognized and provided with welfare they deserve. The President will also touch on digitalization and innovation, given that digital transformation is already upon us, and how we can best prepare our workforce and the larger human resource. Like in the previous year, the President will push for the digital participation of our MSMEs. The President will continue to push for cooperation in food security, particularly focusing on research and development, innovation, and equity and inclusivity, so as to benefit our small farmers, and in climate action, given the urgent need to be resilient to climate change. On other related activities, the President may have bilateral meetings with other leaders, but as the schedules and logistical considerations keep evolving, we are not able to confirm any at this point. As for the business community, the President will lead a Philippine economic briefing and have several meetings with top U.S. companies. He will also attend the APEC CEO Summit and the APEC Leaders Dialogue with the APEC Business Advisory Council. The President will also be meeting with our Filipino community in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Honolulu. This, in summary, will be the Philippine participation in the APEC High-Level Week later this month.
You just heard part of the Foreign Affairs Department's pre-deployment briefing on President Marcos Jr.'s participation next week on the 30th APEC Summit in San Francisco, California. The program will be back after another edition of Pinoy Kultura.
Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura, at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
Ang tangi kong pag-ibig.
You probably haven't heard these in the last 50 years or at all. They're called kundiman songs, a genre of traditional Filipino love songs first heard in the 1800s. It springs from the kumintang, a true indigenous pre-colonial style of courtship or bridal song from the Tagalog region. Many confuse the kundiman with the harana. Understandable, but there are differences. Wikipedia says it's the traditional way of serenading, but they differ in time and structure. The kundiman having a moderate 3/4 time, beginning in a minor key and ending in the parallel major. Filipino musician Floranta Aguilar says the harana is straightforward and simple, always has a guitar solo intro, and authentic ones put the singer in the act of serenading, like Dungawin Mo Hirang. He He says a notable difference, its fatalistic lyrics. Kaawa-awang tao or sitwasyon where the lyrics portray one's choices or actions make no difference because everything is left to fate. Sabi niya, kadalasan ang manganganta ng kundiman ay heartbroken or sawi. Mahirap lang at ang tanging alay niya ay ang kanyang walang kamatayang pag-ibig. Is willing to suffer for his love, even die for it. As seen in the lyrics Jose Rizal wrote in his kundiman, ibubuhos namin ang dugot babaha, matubos nga lamang ang sa amang lupa, portraying his intense love for country. From its basic form, Filipino composers such as Francisco Santiago and Nicanor Abelardo put poetry to music and formalized the art song, the Western style of vocal music composition. More than half a century ago, they were popularized by the queens of Kundiman, Conching Rosal, Silvia La Torre, and Atang Dalarama. Sikat din sa pag-awit ng Kundiman sina Rick Manrique Jr., ang mabuhay singers, and of course, the king of Kundiman, Ruben Tagalog. You might not hear this authentic art form out of the radio anymore, but I hear it does on a particular app. Might be cool to listen to, learn from, maybe even sing to your grandma or grandpa or for yourself. A way to connect with the heartrending roots of something truly Filipino.
Yan ang Pinoy Kultura because our culture is cool.
Serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
You are still listening to Front and Center here on Radio Pilipinas World Service. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. exhorted the Philippines Department of National Defense or DND and the Armed Forces of the Philippines to conduct strategic review and to maximize forces deployment to ensure that strategies remain attuned to the current and future geopolitical challenges. President Marcos made this statement during the 67th founding anniversary of the Naval Special Operations Command or NAVSOCOM. The President also encouraged the Philippine Navy to strengthen the unit's capabilities by partnering with forces from like-minded states towards upholding shared commitments to freedom of navigation, peace and stability, and the rule of law. The Armed Forces of the Philippines Commander-in-Chief also made an assurance that the administration remains committed to strengthen the NAVSOCOM's capabilities through the acquisition under the revised Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program. The administration will likewise support the unit in implementing programs that enhance knowledge and skills of personnel, as well as ensure the welfare and the well-being of their families. President Marcos also praised NAVSOCOM for its performance, particularly through the conduct of extensive counter-terrorism training and operations against terrorist groups and other lawless elements, including rescue missions, which, the President said, have greatly supported the AFP's internal security efforts, especially in the southern Philippines. NAVSOCOM is an elite unit of the Philippine Navy and has likewise contributed to government efforts to curb smuggling and other illegal activities at sea as authorities watch over the country's vast littoral area.
I am one with the valiant men and women of the Naval Special Operations Command in celebrating your 67th founding anniversary. I congratulate all the officers and members of the NAVSOCOM for closing yet another meaningful chapter in your long and decorated history. As an elite unit of the Philippine Navy, the extensive counter-terrorism training and operations that you have conducted against terrorist groups and other lawless elements, including rescue missions that have greatly supported the AFP's internal security efforts, especially in southern Philippines. NAVSOCOM has also contributed to our efforts to curb smuggling, other illegal activities at sea, so we can watch over the vast littoral area that needs to be covered. More impressive still, through it all, you have embodied grit, fortitude, and courage in ensuring peace, order, and progress in the country. For your commitment to serve and to safeguard the Filipino people, I express my deep and heartfelt gratitude. As we move now from focusing on ensuring internal security for the country, we now have to bolster the country's external defenses. And I exhort the DND and the AFP to maximize and strategically review the deployment of our forces to ensure that their strategies remain responsive to the current and future geopolitical realities. Let us also continue harnessing the skills of our specialized units in preparing for all contingencies. With the NAVSOCOM, with its expertise in sea, air, and land, or SEAL operations, must be utilized to support naval defense and enhance maritime security. I still remember our operators, pero hindi pa SEAL noon, UOU pa lang noon. They were the members of the Underwater Operations Unit na sumasama sa amin kapag kami lumalakad. And I have met many of them, nag-uusap kami ng matagal, and I very well understand the high standards that are set by the then UOU, now SEAL, now NAVSOCOM, for the elite operators of NAVSOCOM to be able to fulfill their mission. I also enjoin the Navy to strengthen the unit's capabilities by partnering with forces from like-minded states to uphold our shared commitment to freedom of navigation, peace and stability, and the rule of law. To this end, allow me to recognize our awardees for their excellent performance and significant contribution to the Navy and to the country. I urge you to continue honing your skills and serve as exemplars, not just as NAVSOCOM personnel, but as public servants. Rest assured that this administration remains firm in its commitment to strengthen NAVSOCOM's capabilities to the acquisition under the revised AFP modernization program. We will likewise support you in implementing programs to enhance your knowledge and skill, as well as ensure your welfare and, equally important, your family's well-being. Together, let us bring stability, peace, and prosperity in our lands and in our seas, all the while standing as a wellspring of hope to our present and our next generations. Malaki po ang papel na ginagampanan ng inyong institusyon sa pagsulong ng isang bagong Pilipinas sa ating panahon ngayon. Inaasahan ko ang inyong patuloy na pakikilahok at suporta sa adhikaing ito. Muli, binabati ko ang NAVSOCOM sa pagdiriwang ng inyong ika-67 anibersaryo. Mabuhay kayong lahat, mabuhay ang NAVSOCOM, mabuhay ang Armed Forces of the Philippines.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. The President's order during the NAVSOCOM anniversary comes in the midst of the continued harassment of Chinese Navy and maritime militia in the West Philippine Sea, as well as the ongoing geopolitical situation around the world. It also came days before the announcement of the Foreign Affairs Department that President Marcos Jr. has accepted the invitation from the Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii. Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Charles Jose confirming the President's scheduled visit to the Indo-Pacific Command next week in Hawaii.
The President is being invited to visit the Indo-Pacific Pacific Command, and he will also have a roundtable discussion with the Daniel Inouye Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. His official delegation will form part of the President's delegation when he visits Honolulu. Well, like I said, I don't have all the details, but I would imagine that will be part of the visit. There will be a security briefing. Well, I would imagine because the President will be in Honolulu to meet with the Filipino community, so I would imagine this was an opportunity for the Pacific Command to invite the Philippine President.
On other front and center news on the ongoing efforts of the Philippine government in repatriating Filipinos caught in the middle of the Israel-Hamas conflict, 40 Filipinos from Gaza made it out through the Rafah border and is safely in Egypt together with their children and Palestinian husbands. This batch from Gaza follows earlier 2 Filipino doctors associated with Doctors Without Borders in Gaza who was able to leave Gaza. However, there are still Filipinos who opted to stay in Gaza for their own personal reasons. But the Philippine foreign officials, particularly the Philippine Embassy in Israel and Cairo, is persuading them to leave Gaza while the opportunity is open for them. For his part, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in a message thanked all those who worked tirelessly in making sure that Filipinos in Israel and Gaza, including Lebanon, are safe and secure, and that the government will extend all available measures and exhaust all means to keep them safe, and if they so wish, repatriate them back to the Philippines.
Ikinagagalak kong ibalita na 40 sa ating mga kababayan ay ligtas at matagumpay na nakatawid ng Rafah crossing sa Egypt mula sa Israel. Sila ngayon ay patungo sa Cairo, kung saan sila magmumula para makauwi ng tuluyan sa ating bansa sa susunod na mga araw. Naisaayos natin ito dahil sa pagtutulungan ng Department of Foreign Affairs at ng ating mga embahada sa Israel, sa Jordan at Egypt upang maisakatuparan ang pagtulong sa ating mga kababayan. Nagpapasalamat din tayo sa mga pamahalaan ng Israel at Egypt sa kanilang pagbibigay prioridad sa ating mga kababayan upang makalabas ng kanilang teritoryo. Kinikilala din natin ang mediation effort ng Qatar na siyang naging dahilan upang nagbukas muli ang mga border ng mga naturang bansa. Umaasa ako na yung natitirang kababayan na nagnanais ding makauwi, makakatawid na ng maayos kasama ang kanilang mga asawa at mahal sa buhay. Magbibigay uli ang aking tanggapan ng kaukulang balita tungkol sa mga pangyayaring ito. Maraming salamat.
On other developments, President Marcos Jr.'s efforts with the support of different government agencies in terms of pushing through the implementation of his strategies and the transformation agenda outlined in the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, as well as other measures and programs to uplift the economy of the country, reflected on the latest gross domestic product. The government reported a 5.9% year-on-year gross domestic product growth in the third quarter of 2023. This is the fastest among emerging economies in Asia. This performance makes the Philippines economy the fastest among major emerging economies that have released their third quarter 2023 GDP growth. Vietnam is at 5.3%, Indonesia and China at 4.9%, and Malaysia is at 3.3%. While inflation recently eased to 4.9% in October 2023 from 6.1% in September 2023, the Philippine government will continue to prioritize strategies in response to the potential impacts of El Nino phenomenon, which is projected to intensify in the coming months until early 2024. President Marcos Jr. directed government agencies to provide much-needed support to provinces that could still produce food despite the worst El Nino impact. Additionally, the government will provide emergency employment opportunities for farmers in the provinces that cannot sustain production during such period. These efforts will be coordinated through the Interagency El Nino Task Force. Well, that is all the time we have for now. We have just brought you another edition of Front and Center. Join us again for another edition of this program, same time, same frequency. You can also watch this program over Radio Pilipinas World Service via Facebook page broadcast. Just access our Facebook page, Radio Pilipinas World Service. You can also catch every Front and Center programs over our YouTube channel. Just type in your YouTube browser, Radio Pilipinas World Service. The program, Front and Center, and other programs of Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be listened to the following shortwave frequencies: 12.010 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 megahertz. Together with our producer, Mr. Erwin Peñano, and technical personnel, Leo Magpayo and Jerome Toledo, this is your host, Rey Sampang, leaving you with a message, mabuhay and love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.